Hi, my name is Gudrun from GE Designs, and in this tutorial I'd like to show you how to make the Corn Toss Runner, which is a fast and fun quilt-as-you-go table runner. Now this version is made with a Halloween theme, but today I'm going to make it more for Christmas, so I am replacing the candy corn appliques with candy canes. So let me show you how to do it. First of all, I want you to go to my website and print off the pattern that you will find under the free pattern and tutorials section. And you will see that you will have all your fabric requirements here. And even though you'll be using this states that you'll be using fat eighths and fat quarters, this project is really great to use some scraps as well. Then you will have all your cutting that you will need to do before you start over on this side. And once you have that all ready, you're ready to start sewing quilt as you go. You will also notice that on this pattern you have the candy corn applique pattern on the bottom, but there's another file in the same spot will also give you some alternate appliques with a sunflower and a poinsettia. And now I've added the fourth option, which is a candy cane, which we'll be using today. Now the first thing to do when you're doing quilt as you go, you want to take your backing and your batting and baste them together. I like to use a fusible batting, which my favorite is Bozel 325. The company name is Bozel. And this product is really great because it's only fusible on one side. So all you have to do is take your backing piece, lay it on the back side of the fusible part, and then fuse that together with your iron. And if you've never done that before, a little bit of steam helps it really stay together. And this now, see, it's all fused and ready to go, and nothing will move on you. The first part too, we want to make sure that we mark our center so we know where to start. And this does not have to be an accurate marking. We just mark the center, and that's going to give us a good starting point. And we're going to start by taking a piece from fabric A, and we're going to place that right in the center. And how I figure that out, I'd usually just fold my piece in half, make a little crease in it like this, and then I can know to match up the crease with the lines. And I do the same thing on the other side, make some creases, and now I can pull this down to match it with those first lines. So the first piece you lay down is going to be right side up. And now you want to take a piece from fabric B. And I use scraps, so all of my B's are going to be kind of different. So I'm just going to grab one. I'm going to place that right sides together, and then you want to pin that down. With quilt as you go, it's kind of important to use pins so that everything will stay in place. So now I'm ready to sew. For your sewing machine, you want to make sure that you have a walking foot on your machine. That will help move everything through. So you're going to just bring this over and position your 1/4 inch marking on your walking foot, or if you've don't have a certain marking, but I know exactly where my 1/4 inch is, so I will just put this in the right spot. And whenever you start and stop a seam when you're doing quilt as you go, you want to take a few stitches in the same spot to lock in those threads. I actually happen to have a fix button on my machine, so I can just hit that. So that will just take a few stitches in the same spot, and then we will keep going. So you want to move the pins before you sew over them, and then just keep going. Now normally I like to have a bigger workspace when I am doing quilt as you go. I have my machine in a table or an extended table for it, but we don't really have room for that right now. So I just hit the fix button at the end, and now I am ready to remove that first piece. Just going to cut the threads on the top and bottom. And now we're going to move it over here, and we're going to just press this. I normally just finger press to begin with, and I feel like when they lay flat, that's all you need for now. And then I'm going to place another fabric B unit on the other side, so on the other edge of that center unit, like so. We're going to pin that down and sew as we did before. So moving that over. And you could totally use the same fabrics for fabric B, but I like always to use up my scraps, and I had these beautiful Christmas fabrics, light fabrics, so they just work really well with this. And then finish the seam, and we're gonna press that. So usually after a couple, and I can finger press. Now after I added these two, it's nice to just bring your iron over and just kind of lay it lightly over the seams to make sure everything is laying flat. The next step is to add your sashing pieces. So these are your 5.5 inch long sashing pieces. I'm going to add them on each side now. Now that we have space, we can pin both sides and sew them both at the same time. It's always helpful to save time to pin as many pieces as you can, and then you can sew them both at the same time. Now what I'm going to do after this one is I'm going to be adding the centers again. So that'll be 2 of the block or the fabric B units and 1 of the fabric A units. But instead of beginning with the fabric A, because these are going to be positioned the other way, we would actually start with a B and then an A and then a B again. So let me just go ahead and get all those done, and I'll meet you back here. Now that we have finished the B, A, and B units, next step is to add our sashing, our long sashing units on the top and the bottom. Now as you will see, sometimes we're not able to keep a perfectly straight line when we're doing Quilt As You Go, but that doesn't matter. We're going to make it look really straight. So we just take our sashing strip and we're going to lay this down, and look, I'm just going to pretend that this is straight. I'll let these little bits stick out here because this looks good to me. And I'm just going to use my scissors to trim this to size and also to cut the selvage off on the other side. It does not have to be perfectly accurate. We can have them a little longer. And this we're going to just pin down on both sides. And with longer pieces, you want to add more pins because things tend to kind of start sliding down when they're longer. So pin this down on each side, and once I have the long pieces sewn and pressed out, then I'm going to add the 7.5 inch sashing piece on each side. So I'll meet you back here when I have those done. Now that we have added our sashing pieces on both sides and the ends, it's time for the wide border on the long sides first. So I take a strip and I place that right sides together along this side. Now I have this print, so I wanted to make sure that the letters are turned a certain way. I'm just going to pin these all the way like I did with the longer sashing strips. And then you're going to repeat on the other side with another long strip and just trim on the ends. And then once those are pressed out, we're going to add the same longer or white border strips on each side. Just trim them to size, and then I'll meet you back here. So now I have my base done. So I added the wide borders. As you can see, long sides first and then the short sides. And now the next step is to trim your runner through the backing and batting to size. So I just lay a ruler up against the sides and then trim on all 4 sides. And I like to always do that before I do anything with a binding or any fusible applique. Now this little runner has a little added fun extra things, and that is just little prairie points that get sewn into the binding. So prairie points, what you want to do, you take your 3-inch squares, you want to fold them in half and put an iron on it to press it this way. And then you're going to fold it again so that all the raw edges are on the same side, and press it again into a triangle. So these little points are going to be added into the binding on 2 sides, on one short side and one long side. And you can kind of play with the positioning, but you're not going to put these on until you're ready to put the binding on. So I'm just going to leave them off for now, because the next step is our fusible applique. And so I'm going to put this aside as well. And you're going to need paper-backed fusible web to do the fusible applique. And you will notice that one side will have kind of the fusible part on it, and then the other side has the paper side. So you want to first of all trace 3 motifs, the ones that are using. I traced the 3 candy canes because that's what I'm using. And then we want to just cut them out. I'm going to use this term I learned from a kindergartner actually. We're going to bubble cut them. So we're going to cut not on the lines, but a little bit outside the lines. I never knew that that was called bubble cutting, so I was really appreciative of that kindergartner that taught me that. So we're going to bubble cut them all out. And once you have them all cut out, I'm using 3 different fabrics for my candy canes just for fun. And instead of doing the stripes, we're just going to be doing, I'm going to use just striped fabrics to get that same effect. So what you want to do is take your striped fabrics. This one is really fun. So first I want to turn it this way because I want to kind of see where the stripes are going to be going. And so how I can angle it and make it look best. So I want them to kind of go diagonal. So this would be a good spot. So then I just flip it over. And that's how I'm going to iron mine on. Let me see if I can get the same angle here. There we go. So then you want to make sure that you follow the manufacturer's directions regarding the heat of your iron, the temperature that you have it on, and also the time. And usually for this, I'm using heat and bond, so that's like about 5 seconds. So I just count to 5, and then I let it cool a little bit. I'm going to do the same thing with the second one. And just turn it. And now once it has cooled, now you're ready to cut it out right on the lines. So you're going to just cut out right on those drawn lines now. And this way, with the fusible on the back side, you're able to do a raw edge applique, and you don't have to worry about it being fraying or anything like that. Now this fusible, paperback fusible web I'm using the light because I actually like to stitch those things down once I have it fused onto my project. I need to stitch that down by machine to secure it. Whenever you're using a light, you need to stitch that down so that they don't kind of start moving. So I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna position them inside the units, and you want to just make sure that you have all 3, and you're just gonna fold back one of those corners so you can peel back just the paper part, and then you'll have that fusible in between, and then you can place it however you want it, and then again follow the manufacturer's instructions and just kind of lay your iron on it until it's fused in place. You don't want to iron too long because sometimes you will ruin that fusible part and it'll kind of start coming apart again. So now once you have repeated those 3, I actually like to put my binding on and then do the machine stitching. This one would probably just be a straight stitch around the edges. You could do a decorative stitch using fun things on your machine, or whatever works for you. And then it's just adding those little prairie points inside the binding. You sew the binding on and you should be all set. So I hope you try this fun little table runner. It's really quick to make for Christmas presents, little hostess gifts for all those little parties we have to go to during the holiday season. So I hope you enjoyed playing with me today.